During this video, we're going to be taking a look at slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form is pretty simple, and it's actually the simplest form that we are going to want all of our equations to look like. Of course, by now, we know that m stands for slope, or rate of change. We also know that b stands for y-intercept, or initial value. So slope-intercept form is simply y equals mx plus b. So, how can we use m and b to write an equation? Well, once you know what these values are, you're simply going to plug them in. For example, the problem says, write the equation of a line with a slope of -1/4 and goes through the point 0, 6. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to take what we know. The problem has told us that our slope is -1/4. So I'm just going to write slope, which is m, is -1/4. The problem also gives me a point, 0, 6. The first thing I notice about this point is that x is equal to 0. I know that my y-intercept happens when x is equal to 0. That's what we learned in our previous notes. So I'm just going to label my y-intercept, which is b, as 6. Because when x is 0, what do I get out? 6. Input, output. So, to write my equation in slope-intercept form, all I'm going to do is plug in the values for m and b. So y equals m is -1/4, x plus b is 6. This is how I write my final equation. However, sometimes we are not given b, okay? So let's take a look at a different equation. This equation wants us to use we're going to have to use point-slope form. Point-slope form is different from slope-intercept form because here, instead of giving a slope and an intercept in a problem, we're giving a slope and a point. So let's take a look. It says write the equation of a line with a slope of 1/2. So we're still given a slope. This time it says and goes through the point 4, 8. Now in the previous example, we noticed that that point was our y-intercept because x was 0. Here we don't know what our y-intercept is. So we're going to have to take a little different route to find what our equation is. So the same thing I did last problem, I'm going to write down what I know. They told me that my slope is 1/2, so my slope, which is m, is 1/2. They also gave me a point, 4, 8. So I'm going to use that point and I'm going to label x and y. This is called point-slope form. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. This is on your formula chart, so don't worry about memorizing it. All I'm going to do is plug in the values that I know for these simple letters. We know our slope because it's given to us. We know a value for y1 and x1 because that's also given to us. So we're just going to plug it in. So here, now I'm going to write y minus y1 equals 1/2. So now I'm plugging in 1/2 for my slope because that's what they gave to me. X minus x1 stays the same. So now my second step would to be plugging those values for x and y. I've already plugged in my slope, so now I'm going to plug in x and y. So y minus y1 is 8 is equal to 1/2 x minus x1 is 4. All I did was plug in those values. Now to solve, or to simplify my equation rather, y minus 8 is equal to the 1/2 times x is 1/2 x. 1/2 times a minus 4 is a minus 2. Now to get y by itself, which is what we're ultimately trying to do, because remember, on our slope-intercept form equation, we have y equals. So y is all by itself, and that's what we want to get this equation to look like. So to get y by itself, I'm going to plus 8 on both sides. To get rid of the minus 8, I'm going to do plus 8. Make sure you do it to both sides. And then I end up with y equals 1/2 minus, that's supposed to say 6, plus 6, excuse me. That's a 6. Okay, So y equals 1/2 x plus 6. So now we know that our y-intercept is at 0, 6. All because all we did was solve for y. We got y by itself. And I'm going to rewrite that so you can tell what that says. 1/2 x plus 6. For our y-intercept is at 0, 6. So, to summarize it all up, slope-intercept form is the simplest form because we can easily recognize slope and y-intercept. Point-slope form is used when given a point and a slope, hint, point-slope form. And then we convert that to slope-intercept form. Once you have your slope, m, and your y-intercept, b, you can write the equation. So here, when our slope and our intercept is given to us, we can easily write our equation. However, if we're just given a slope and a point, we know that in order to write it in slope-intercept form, we have to plug in those values into point-slope form first.